We'll have our speaker now, which of course is Lars. So let me give you a formal introduction. Lars, when this is finished, you know, when you've done your presentation and so on, we still have some stuff to do after, so it's entirely up to you if you want to sort of stick around or not.
Oh, I'm curious what you're doing, so.
Okay. All right. So most of you know Lars anyway, but just to give the formal introduction here, Lars has undergraduate degrees from University of Gothenburg and Karlstad University in Sweden. He studied at the University of Alberta in Edmonton on a Rotary International Ambassador Scholarship, graduating with an MBA in 1979. In 1982, Lars returned to Canada for a position with the Swedish Trade Council in Toronto, eventually becoming Deputy Trade Commissioner. In 1991, Lars founded his own consulting firm, Nordic Trade Inc., specializing in international trade development between Scandinavian and North American companies. Over the years, Lars has held numerous positions in the Swedish Canadian community, including being chairman of the Swedish Canadian Chamber of Commerce. In February 2002, Lars was appointed Honorary Consul for Sweden in Ontario by the Swedish government. He's been reappointed 5 times since 2016 as Honorary Consul General. In particular, as Honorary Consul, Lars has worked to promote Sweden in the areas of culture, urban sustainability, and to increase cooperation between Ontario and Sweden. In 1986, he joined the Rotary Club of Toronto-Eglinton and was president for the club 1998 to 99. Lars was Centennial District Governor for Rotary District 7070 2004 to 5, which had 55 clubs and 2,300 members in and around Toronto. He's been RI President's Rep. Currently, Lars is District 7070 District Grant Subcommittee Chair, as well as a member of the district's membership committee. He is also involved in the International Club Visioning Program, including introducing the program to Rotary districts in Sweden and Norway. So welcome, Lars. It's all yours.
Thank you, Gordon.
Wow,
thank
very
you,
good.
Everybody, to give me the opportunity to speak to you. If this works now, and this is dangerous with me and computers, but it should be possible for me to get the presentation up on your screens. If you probably have to share the screen with me, Gordon.
That's it.
That's it. Okay.
Yeah, we got it.
Okay. So then that should look better then. That's
it. Very good.
Good. Well, that was the whole presentation. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
So, no, thank you for letting me speak to you about the foundation. And as everyone knows in this illustrious group and very knowledgeable Rotarian group, it is Foundation Month in the Rotary calendar. And the foundation is a result of $26.50 that was the profit in the 1917 Rotary Convention in Kansas, I think it was. And Arch Klump was the president then and suggested that they should set up a foundation to do good in the world. And a lot of good has come out of that decision. And Arch Klump, of course, is still part of the foundation in the fact that if you donate a lot of money to the Rotary Foundation, to the endowment fund, you can actually become a member of the Arch Klump Society. So the mission statement is to advance world understanding, goodwill and peace through the improvements. God, I need to move so I can see myself what it is that I say. Of health, the support of education, and the elevation of poverty. As we all feel, the Rotary Foundation is among the most efficient and reputable foundations. There is an organization called Charity Navigator that looks at various types of foundations, and they have given 4 stars, which is the highest mark, to the Rotary Foundation for at least the last 15 years. And one of the reasons for that is that there are few organizations that give back as much money as the foundation. It used to be that you could say that $1 given to the foundation resulted in $1 being given to a project. We are still over 90% of the money that we raise go to various programs. So as I say, very few foundations can have a track record like that. And we're typically talking about 3 funds in the foundation. And of course, they are all the result of donations from members and other people too. There is nothing that prevents non-Rotarians to donate to any of the funds. And the only way we can give more is if we donate more. So the 3 funds that we have in the foundation is the endowment fund, and basically the name says what it is. It is to guarantee the long-term existence of the foundation. And this is where if you give $250,000 US, you become a member of the Arch Clump Society. And a few of the people today attending the meeting, I imagine, have been to the Rotary head office. We usually take the president-elect to the Evanston office, and there is a wall where people who are members of the Arch Clump Society their names are up on the wall. The donations to the endowment fund will not give you Paul Harris credits, which the other 2 funds will do, donations to the other 2 funds. The Polio Plus Fund is used for basically in and out. It's used for the expenses in conjunction with the polio eradication, and donations to that will give Paul Harris credits. And then we have the annual fund, which I think most of us think of when we talk about the Rotary Foundation, because these are the money that we get back and use for various types of grants. So the funds are invested for 3 years. Donations are invested for 3 years. On the 1st of July every year, they are split in 2 halves, and 1 half is coming back to our district, DDF, district designated funds. And that's what we use for our matching, whether it's in district grants or in global grants and some other things. And I'll come back to that a little bit later. And the other half from our district and all other 539 or 540 districts is transferred over to the World Fund, which we also have access to, because that is the money that is being used by the foundation to match the DDF contribution in a global grant. And again, we'll come back to that a little bit later. And donations there generate Paul Harris credits as well. And as you know, a Paul Harris award is something that you receive if you have donated $1,000 US to either the Polio Plus Fund or the annual fund. And you can also give Paul Harris, use Paul Harris credits to award the Paul Harris to someone else. And some clubs do that. I'm sure that you have done that in your club too, because you probably have some DDF, Paul Harris credits for the club as well. And this is a way to raise awareness for Rotary and the good that we do through the Rotary Foundation in the community. And I want to thank you, the members of the North Scarborough Club, for what you did last year. We raised close to $1 million. You may recall that we had the Mill for Bill campaign, and Bill Patchett had this vision that we should raise $1 million to the foundation in our district. Bill came close as the leader for our fundraising, but we never reached it completely. And in honor to honor Bill, the district decided last year to have the Mill for Bill campaign, and we came very close. Yes, we could say that we raised $1 million because we raised over $1 million Canadian dollars. I think it turned out to be about 1.3 million. But in US dollars, we were missing a few thousand. So we at least came close to that $983,000 US dollars. And when we talk about the foundation, it's natural to talk about US dollars most of the time, at least when it's in international. You are actually one of only 7 clubs in our district that contributed last year to the endowment fund. As I said, it's typically large amounts, and we can see it's probably about 10, 12 individuals that contributed the almost $500,000 US dollars that we raised. But you put in $4,000 into the fund. And as I said, you're one of the among the top 7 clubs in the district that way. For the Polio Plus Fund, we raised close to $200,000 US dollars, and you raised close to $1,000. And then for the annual fund, again, you showed your leadership. You had a goal of $3,500. I assume that you had $100 US dollars per member as a goal, and at the end you raised almost double that, close to $7,000. And in the district we raised $291,000 US dollars, which meant that you were above the average membership. The average membership for the district would be $151 US dollars per member, and you went up to 214. So thank you so much for that support and that leadership, and you have every reason to be proud of your activity. So how do we use the funds that we raise? You as a club have been a customer, so to speak. We have the grants program where you have had the district grants over the last few years, including this year, and the check is in the mail, literally, because I put the envelope for the district grant check in the mail on Monday, so it should come one day in the near future. $1,000, and that's for the COVID project that you had with the Rosewood Food Bank. But it's also used for global grants, and I haven't gone back and looked, but I think that you have been involved in global grants, humanitarian grants. Those are the grants in Africa or whatever. But global grants can also be vocational training teams, which we have had over the years. I think the last one we had in our district was with a district in Japan, which was in palliative care. And that is that a group of non-Rotarians with a leader, a Rotary leader, will travel for a week or 2 or 3 to another part of the world, and it Used to be that it was back and forth. It doesn't have to be that anymore, but still most of them are. So there was a team also from Japan that came over to Toronto at that time, or to our district. And then we have from our district a graduate scholarship similar to the one that I that basically was my first contact with Rotary, that took me to Edmonton. And that is again something that the district put together. We normally have more students coming in, graduate school students, because of Toronto and the universities, but we have one, and they have in many instances been to England, but there was last year actually a student that went to a graduate program in Paris. We also have the Rotary Peace Centers, 8 universities around the world, and we have the Polio Plus. And then there are some other grants like the disaster grants and so on and so forth that come into play. So, but the big money goes to either the grants program or and the Polio Plus. And just to give an idea what the global grants are, as you know, the global grants must be in a focus area, one of the 6 to be 7 with the addition of the environment. The most popular one is disease prevention. The second largest is water and sanitation. And then we have education, basic education. We have community development. We have mothers and children, health issues. And peace and conflict resolution is the 6th focus group. It's a little bit miss and hit and miss, because a global grant has to be in one of the focus areas, but of course many of them could be in 2 or 3. It doesn't give you more brownie points or increase the likelihood of having your project approved if you put them on 3 or 4 or whatever. But for instance, a water and sanitation program could probably as well qualify as being a disease prevention or community development. Excuse me. So just to look at how we, what the global grant, the requirements. Well, it must be between clubs or districts in 2 different countries. It must be in one of the focus areas, and as I said, the environment as of 1st of July next year will be one. And it must have a budget of minimum $30,000. And the financing of a global grant consists of cash from clubs, the DDF that we looked upon earlier, which comes from the district. It can have non-Rotarian cash. It can be other organizations that contribute to it. And then we have the World Fund match, which as of July 1st this year, this Rotary year, only consists of matching the DDF. It used to be that it also matched the club cash contribution. But as of this Rotary year, we only match the DDF. But there is no limitation, so all the DDF that is in a project will be matched by the World Fund. And applications for global grants are done online and can be made throughout the year, and it's done on the Rotary website. This is an example of how a project can look. So in a global grant, there is always a host partner which is a club or a district where the project takes place. And then there is an international partner. And clubs and our district is typically an international partner. There isn't anything that would prevent us from being a host partner, that we could have a global grant project in our district. And there has been discussions, I guess, about doing something in the indigenous communities, First Nations. But so far, as over the years that I have been involved, we have always been the international partner. So if we go through this project, we have the Rotary Club of somewhere putting in 10,000, and it goes directly to the project. If you look further down for the host, your contribution that I put in 5,000 for this project, that is sent to the Rotary Foundation, and then they will forward it to the project. And if you send it through the Rotary Foundation, Foundation will add an administration fee of 5%. And the reason why the foundation does this is that the money that the clubs pay the foundation to then have the foundation forward really don't sit any time in a bank account for the foundation. So it's in administration. The money will go from the club when the project is approved, and there is a timeline to send that. So that explains that. The advantage, I think there are two advantages of sending the funds through the foundation. One is that you can sort of probably trust it better. My own club has a little bit of that attitude. But in addition to that, you actually get Paul Harris credits for that money. If you send it directly to the club, to the project, you don't get any Paul Harris for that. So coming back for the host district, they have put in $5,000 of their DDF to the project. Our district put in 3,000, and then, which is typical for those of you who've been involved, and you may have been on both sides of this, either as a international partner or a supporter. There are usually a number of clubs that put in $500, $1,000, and so on and so forth. And it can be both from our own district, but can also be from other districts. For instance, in many of the districts, many of the projects that clubs in our district are doing, we have contributions from clubs in Mississauga, or Burlington, Oakville, Barrie, Kingston, Peterborough, and so on and so forth. And likewise, we clubs in our district contribute support projects where we are neither the host nor the international partner. And then you see, if we add everything together at the bottom here, that there is the match of DDF. The 8,000 are matched. So, and the 39,000 total budget is well above the 30,000 threshold that we have. So that is an example of how this is. And this is actually a calculator that is available on the Rotary website. So you can sit and play with that if you have a project. So if you have a project, a global grant project, how much DDF can you get? And the factors that we have to decide to determine that in our district, and it varies a little bit from district to district. One, of course, that is very crucial is how much DDF do we have left, because we get every year in the beginning of the year, we get an amount, and then depending on what we do with it, we may run out of DDF. So that is one thing. So when you start a district, it's wise to talk to me or someone else in the district foundation sector, Bob Wallace or so, and find out exactly what it is and have a budget. The size of the project, a large, I don't know if you have been approached by the Whitby Club about the project in Beirut for the hospital there, but they have managed to get, I think, 20 clubs in the district to contribute. So it's natural that we promote that with more DDF, because they will raise more money, but they will also, as we encourage, both when it comes to the district grants and the global grants, we encourage cooperation between clubs working together. So the amount of money that we put in. As I said, we sometimes match if you were to support a project that is run by the district 7080 in east of us, west of us. We may contribute some DDF to that too. And likewise, I always ask clubs in projects where we are in clubs in our district are in the driver's seat, if they get contributions from, let's say, 7010 in Barry, ask if that club also can get some DDF for that project, because it's very crucial to get DDF. The more DDF you have in a project, the more money you will get from the foundation. Then the district grant, finally, is for small and medium-sized projects. Local and international, you can have either or. This year we have, I think, more local than normal because of the COVID projects that we had. They can take place also in areas where there are no Rotary clubs. So, if you were to make a project in, theoretically, you could do that in North Korea where there is no Rotary club. And clubs apply to the district, and we collect all the applications, and based on that we make an application to the Rotary Foundation. And we have this normally, and it will probably be for next year too, the deadline, the 31st of May. And then we send in the application and to the Rotary Foundation. There is a rule that we can only use up to half of the DDF that we get that year for district grants, and this year we got all in all about $145,000 US, so about half of that, and we managed to squeeze in all 41 projects under that amount, and it was also approved. And as I said, the checks are in the mail. It has taken a little bit longer than we had hoped. I apologize for that, but it's a number of reasons. Rotary's staff is working from home, and I guess so is most of us as well, and so on. But you should get the $1,000 check any day. And you can't use a district grant for a global grant, but one can sometimes see that a district grant is a pilot or study for what then becomes a global grant. So that is. And I think that was more or less it. What we use the DDF to, in addition to what I talked, we can also make donations. So every year, we are encouraged, or Rotary encourages districts to donate to the Polio Plus campaign, and we, as a district, are doing that every year. I think both because we believe in it, but also to really honor the work that Bob Scott has done in that situation. And we can also donate to the peace program, which we also have done. We are actually, our district is one of the founding fathers for the peace program, and not every year we've done given the donation, but we have occasionally done that. And it is also possible to actually donate DDF to other districts too. We haven't done that. This, I guess, was rushing through the whole thing. One thing that is important too is that in order to take advantage of the grants program, the club needs to be qualified, and that is on a yearly basis. And these days it's done online. 2 members at least from the club must do that, and then also sign an MOU. And of course you have done that, so you are qualified for this year, but it is a yearly thing, and it sometimes complains about that. It's something that the Rotary Foundation requires. And my point is that it doesn't have to be the same individuals every year. Why not let a couple of other members take, because it's the club as a whole that is qualified once you have met the requirements. So by that, if there are any questions or comments or corrections, because of this knowledgeable group, I'm sure there is someone who's found that it should be in a different way instead. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Lars. Do you want to stop sharing your screen, please?
Yeah, that's probably easier. Stop there, red.
Okay.
Yeah, we're back.
Anybody have any questions for Lars?
Lars, it's not a question about what you did, but I was just wondering, do you ever come across Ulf Ernetoft these days? I mean, I was wondering whether you've met him through your Swedish connections.
I must say I haven't had any contact with him for quite some time. I may run into him on Saturday because I will be in Scarborough lining up like those votes in the States, because the Swedish ladies are handing out food every Christmas. They have a Christmas fair normally done at the harborfront, but they can't have that this year, so it's been online. And they have found a supplier of importer of Scandinavian food that they can use, a warehouse. So we got instructions how to behave there, line up in the car, stay in the car, and so on and so forth. So Ulf may be there.
He was a member of our club for many years, and then,
that's right, yeah.
Of course, he lives out in Mississauga way, or he was living out in Mississauga way. Yeah. Or no, Etobicoke, I think he moved to, but I haven't seen him for a long time, and I wonder whether you come across him in your travels through the Swedish connections.
Yeah, no, I had some dealings with him, and he was a member of the Swedish Canadian Chamber for many years. And but I must say I haven't seen him for some time. I'll find out what has happened.
Danny, you've got a question?
Yeah, I just finished the first part of the RLI training, and we went over the foundation. And as far as donating to your foundations, they're telling me that you can have an automatic debit.
Yes.
Yeah. So whatever you want to put in, you can. It doesn't have to be a large amount. It could be a small amount every month.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. And I guess there are a number of reasons. One is that it shouldn't be as painful maybe as putting in a larger amount, but also the there is the every Rotarian every year campaign or theme, and the $100 is a suggestion, but it is really to get members to contribute every year, make it a habit. So whatever you do, whatever you contribute is very appreciated.
Thank you.
Okay, anybody else? Trudy.
Yeah, I have a question about the polio fund. I know that globally polio is not as much of an issue now. So I'm wondering, so that does the fund continue even beyond that, or is the fund maybe directed to other projects to eradicate disease that is not necessarily polio?
Well, for now, all the money that comes in to that fund is used for polio and would be needed for polio. We have this question that comes up in Rotary, and I'm sure that it has been discussed in your club too. You know, what is, if any, a project of the same magnitude once polio has been eradicated? But you know, there's still a couple of countries left, and the COVID has not necessarily helped the efforts, because it has been difficult to manipulate people during this period. But on the other hand, and I'm not an expert on it, but you know, the structure and experience and know-how that has come out of the polio campaign, together with WHO and so on and so forth, has been very useful for other things, and I think including particularly I can see the distribution for vaccine for COVID and the process there. So it has there are good things coming out of it too. But it's going to be an interesting conversation. What if anything would be the big thing after polio?
Okay, thank you. Anybody else? No, I don't think so. Okay, Danny, where'd Danny Randine go?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I just wanted to add to what Lars said for Trudy. Trudy, the likelihood is that polio vaccination, even though they may have destroyed the actual active virus out there, will have to continue for quite a few years, just to ensure that any sort of stray stuff doesn't get back in. So that money is going to be used for probably at least another 5 years before that new project can really come on. Okay, that's just my comment.
Yeah, no, a good point, David.
Okay, thank you, David. You were scheduled to introduce Lars. Of course, I did that. Danny Randing was going to thank him, but she's disappeared somewhere.
Okay.
So would you like to thank Lars, please?
I would be very happy to. Lars, thank you so much again for that reminder of all the work that we do. And I think sometimes what happens is that we're just doing it at the club level, but unfortunately, we lose sight of the worldwide effect that we have. And thank you for coordinating it here, and for your patience with our applications and all these various other administrative things that you have to worry about. It was great to hear what we're doing and how. Thank you so much for all you do.
Okay, thank you, Lars.
My pleasure. It's you have a great club. It's always a pleasure to.
Yeah, we are a great club. That's very true.
And modest as well, extremely.
Very modest.